So the inverted Spire Grandmaster Nightfall is here for the very first time, so we're gonna have a build for it today, so you can get in there, get your completion, get your weapon, and you don't have to go into this strike ever again. Now this strike, I do say, is definitely harder than it was before, especially before the boss. They didn't really change too many things at the boss, but everything before it definitely has some changes. So let's get into it. First of all, let's take a look at the things that we have on this strike, because we also have one of those brand new modifiers, with it being haste. Moving quickly slowly regenerates your health, and also standing still will slowly deal damage. That second part of it doesn't really kick in right away, like if you stand still for a second, you won't just immediately start taking damage, but you always definitely want to keep moving, or at least strafing side to side, which is probably what we're going to be doing most of the time. We're going to be just strafing side to side, because we are definitely going to be taking advantage today of range and also spam abilities. Now the main thing that we're going to need for this build is going to be the Wish Ender, so as long as we have that, you're going to be able to make this build work. So let's not waste any more time, let's get into it, and first let's start with our exotics. So starting with our exotic weapon, the Wish Ender, is the main thing that we're going to be using for most of the strike. There's a lot of points in this strike where you can like really use the range of the Wish Ender, and just pretty much just snipe or bow everything from pretty far away. There's also a lot of areas on the strike, so the Wish Ender is also going to work really well against them. And overall, the Wish Ender is just a fantastic weapon that we can use in this strike. I use this to put a bunch of distance between you and the enemies, making the whole thing just a lot safer. You're going to find that this week, from the LFG rounds that I've done, a lot of people use like Rain in there, and then just die immediately. So by staying back, we're not only going to be helping ourselves by staying safe, but also the team, in case both the teammates go in there and get wiped. Now for the other weapons that you want to pair with the Wish Ender, I would say that you should just go for 2 grenade launchers. One with blinding grenades if you have one for the special slot, and then your heavy. As long as it's a good grenade launcher, it will do pretty well. I was just using the one that they gave everyone, the Chill Inhibitor, and it puts in a lot of damage. The heavy one will be whenever you want to use destroy a champion or a bunch of enemies just as quickly as you can. And your special grenade launcher is going to be for whenever you want to blind some targets and just make things a little bit easier to deal with. This is going to come in handy at different points in the strike, especially when a lot of enemies spawn very quickly. That's whenever you want to just spam those blinding grenades, and it just makes everything easier. And also if something ends up rushing you, you could also use blind it and put some more distance between you and whatever is rushing you. Now for the super, we are going to be on the Silence Scroll. This thing is fantastic, and it also is Stasis Search this week. So the Silence Scroll is even doing more damage. So because we also have the Silence Scroll, our Wish Ender is also going to be doing more damage since the Search will affect it as well. So it's just like the perfect week to run Silence Scroll, and it's also used an amazing super for dealing with champions, for dealing with ads, for dealing with big enemies. It just kind of does it all in this GM. It is fantastic. And if you do have the class item with the Shards of Galanor, then you definitely want to spam this thing pretty much as soon as you get it. Now for your class ability, you want to go either Marksman or Gambler's Dodge. Both of these work pretty well. I think I lean a little more towards Gambler's Dodge, so you can always have a shuriken, so you can always stun those overloads. And speaking about our melees and also our grenade, we are on the double stasis. The Withering Blade plus the Dust Field combo. This is going to be really good for just dealing with enemies, and also it's going to be the main way that we're going to be stunning those overload champions. We basically throw a Dust Field on the overload champion, and it's just going to be stunned over and over again. We hit them with a Withering Blade, they're also going to be stunned, so both of our abilities will help us stun our champions. And if it comes down to it, or you just want to make sure that that thing definitely dies, then you can throw the Silence Scroll at it and just constantly stun it till it basically dies. Any champion that you throw like your super at, you pretty much mark your death. Now for the aspects, we're going to be having Stylist Executioner as well as Dread Spectre. The Dread Spectre is actually really useful whenever you're going against some of those barrier champions that have snipers on them. If you get behind like your decoy, they usually will you shoot the decoy, or you get to use fire your bow at them. And also in any like situation where it's very close range, that's when the decoy also comes pretty handy, especially against some of those exploding harpies, like halfway through the strike in that like circular room. The Dread Spectre pretty much grabs their attention, they run right through it, and they like blow themselves up on it. So it kind of adds a little bit more survivability for you and your teammates, since a couple of enemies are not going to be focusing you, they're going to be focusing the decoy instead. And then our main way of reviving teammates, staying alive, of course, is gonna be Stylus Executioner. We have a lot of ways to actually proc this thing, but the main ways that we're gonna do it is just gonna be through our abilities, our melee, our grenade, our transcendence grenade, one of our fragments. All of those will proc Stylus Executioner, so it will make us go invisible after getting a kill with that ability. And like I said, this just got a little more survivability, especially when there's a lot of things trying to kill you. And also, it gives a quick way to actually go and revive some teammates very safely with the invisibility as well. Now, moving on to the fragments, we're going to be starting off with the Fragment of Solitude, and this is one way that we're going to be able to proc the Stylus Executioner with just our weapon. Whenever we hit multiple precision hits, it will sever the target, and whenever we kill some severed targets, it makes us invisible, and it also creates a tangle. So, overall, it just gives some more ad clear, and also another way of proccing the invisibility. The next fragment we have is going to be the Faceted Balance. Whenever we defeat some targets with light or darkness energy, we're going to get back some melee or grenade energy. This is going to help us a little more with ability uptime, just so we can spam those abilities even more. After that, we're going to have the Faceted Protection. Whenever we're surrounded by combatants, we are more resistant to incoming damage. At base is 15% damage resistance, and 25 whenever we are transcendent. So this is going to be really good for staying alive, especially in those situations where things are just kind of like swarming us. There's a couple of points in the strike where there's a lot of enemies very up close, so that's when this really comes in handy, especially at the boss fight. At the boss fight, this thing is basically on all the time. After that, we're going to have the Faceted Command, and this will make it so whenever you freeze or suppress a target, it reloads your weapons. And this comes in really handy, especially when using our heavy weapon, since we don't really have to reload that. We can just keep shooting for longer and just get so many shots out there. And lastly, we're going to have the Faceted Dawn. Whenever we do some power melee hits, it makes us radiant, and if we get some power melee kills, it will make our allies radiant as well. This just kind of adds a little bit more damage to all our weapons, since we are going to be using our melees quite a lot. And since our other weapons don't have champion mods on them, it pretty much makes every single one of our weapons be able to break those barriers. So you want to break a barrier with your heavy, you can with the Faceted Dawn. Now this is what we're going to be running here for the artifact. We have Brain Freeze, so it can make our freezes a little bit more useful by also slowing things around them. We have Serve Cold, so we can get some more energy from the stasis shards that we do make. Held the Storm to improve our stasis shatters, so they can do like slows around them. Crystallized Converter is also one that I don't think I have in the gameplay in the background that I'm going to be using for this video, but it's definitely something that you can run and something that works really well, especially because we are already using like a stasis melee, so might as well take advantage of Crystalline Converter. For the non-stasis ones, then you want to have Rapid Impact, Concussive Reload. Those two are pretty much given. Curative Orbs is actually pretty good for just making some more orbs. The Tech of It also works pretty well, although since we are going to be staying back, we're not really going to take advantage of this mod all the time. But whenever we are in the situation where we're surrounded, then we're going to get some armor charge. And those are pretty much like the important mods that we're going to have, and the ones that are pretty much going to help the build the most. Alright, lastly, we're going to be taking a look at the armor mods that we're running in here, and just kind of like what we have going on here. So first of all, the helmet, we have Powerful Friends, Heavy Ammo Finder, as well as Kinetic Siphon. Most of the time we're going to be using our bow, so that's why we have Kinetic Siphon, and we always want some more ammo for our heavy. Now for the gauntlets, we have Grenade Kickstart, so we can use a grenade more often. We have Kinetic Loader, as well as Momentum Transfer. Whenever we do some damage with a grenade, we get our melees back faster. And yeah, it's just something so we can use our abilities a little more often, and also so we can reload our bow much faster. The reload matters quite a lot on the bow, so you definitely want to have Kinetic Loader. Now for the chest piece, I say that you should go for 2 void resistances plus a solar resistance. You could also go for some arc. Arc does come in handy as well, so you can change this, but you definitely want to have some void resistance since void is the threat, so you take more damage from it. So definitely want to have void resistance. If you don't want to have both of them, then you can go with some arc, and then you can have all 3, solar, void, and arc. You know, works out pretty well. But this is the one that I pretty much ran most of the runs that I was doing. Now for the boots, pretty normal. Restoration, Absolution, Recuperation. So whenever we pick up some orbs, we get health, as well as get our abilities back faster. And lastly, we have our exotic. And for the mods on the exotic, we're going to have Reaper, Outreach, and also Bomber, so we can get back our abilities as well as make some more orbs, because that's also going to help us a lot. And of course, for the class item, this Spirit of Galanor is what you're looking for, so you can spam your super even more. The other perk really won't matter, it can be whatever you want, but definitely Spirit of Galanor is what you want to look for on your class item, just so you can spam those supers. Like I said, the super is very good in this strike, not only because it's just a good super in general, but also because it's Stasis Surge. So overall it's just doing more damage, so you want to use it. So you definitely want to use it as much as you can, and Spirit of Galanor is just perfect for that. As long as we throw it in a big enemy, or a big group of enemies, we're pretty much going to get guaranteed like half of our super every single time. And with that, it's actually going to be the end of the build. Now you guys pretty much know everything that you want to know about this build, so you can get in there and get some loot, or maybe use your completion if that's what you're going for. Like always, there will be a dim link in the description below, in case you guys want to give this build a try, and just want to auto-equip it with one click. It's going to be both in the comments and also in the description. So go down there, click it, and get in there. And if you guys do end up using the build, make sure you guys come back here and just tell me what you guys thought about it. Now, when it comes to like tips for this strike, because you know the strike is new, it's like the first time it shows up, I would say that you want to use your range as much as possible. At the very beginning of the strike, I seen a lot of people just kind of like jump around like on the cubes where all the enemies are, but there's not a lot of cover. You don't want to do that. You basically just want to stay by the shore of like the bed's milk and essentially just kill everything with your bow. Remember, you can just shoot straight through those shields, so you can just like constantly shoot them, and you do actually quite a lot of damage with the Wish Ender. One thing that you want to keep in mind though is that since we are going to be staying farther back, there is a chance that like the modifier does start damaging us, and so that doesn't happen, you could always just like strafe. You could go left to right. In the second area, you could also just hang out up here and just pretty much snipe everything with your bow. At some point, the wolves spawn like a group of harpies behind you, so make sure that you take care of them before going back to you shooting everything down. But this area should be pretty easy as well. The thing that got the most changes, I would say, is the area with the tanks. Now there's tanks, so I definitely recommend that you use them. But do not think that you are unkillable in those tanks. Those tanks actually take a lot of damage. So you definitely don't want to get too crazy with the tanks. You pretty much just want to slowly move forward while constantly like killing things. Because if the tank explodes and you gotta get out in like an area with a lot of enemies, you're pretty much just instantly gonna die. So just keep that in mind when using the tanks. But they definitely add a little more towards that area and make going through it just easier. So I wish you guys good luck with this strike. It's actually not that bad once we get used to some of the changes, and I'm sure you guys will get it done very quickly. But thank you for watching, thank you for stopping by, good luck with the GM, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.